Hey guys, it is Tuesday, September the 14th. We have another video out of order, which means another walkthrough. Today we're looking at a van. Yeah, I'm posting as many of these as I can because they're super easy to edit and I enjoy them. Seems like you guys enjoy them. So if you're watching this and you see me out on the road somewhere and you're living nomadic, stop me, let me know what you're in and tell me you want to film a walkthrough and we'll put you on the channel. So that being said, today we're gonna go take a look at Matt's van, Vanna White, and Matt runs a podcast. I think it's a podcast, or we'll ask him what it is. It's called Enjoy the Journey Today. Enjoy the journey.today. Let's check it out. Knock, knock. You want to
come aboard?
Can we see your home?
Permission granted. Come on in.
Check out his steps.
Let's go.
Hey, Stella.
She's the security guard.
I like the steps. Where, first off, let's talk about those.
Yeah.
What are those? Where'd you get them?
So they were a gift from a friend of mine named James, and he came on a caravan that we hosted in the Rockies in 2019, and we ended up connecting, and he was like, I've had these stairs and I wanted to wait till I had the right moment, and I think you're the person. And I was like, really? He's like, yeah, I really want you to see these. I was like freaking out about them. Brings them out, and sure enough, they fit exactly in the space I needed, and they accordion down right behind the driver's seat.
Awesome.
So only way I was gonna do it is if I could fit it, and I could. So it ended up working out, but welcome.
Sweet. So we have cockpit, you have two swiveling chairs.
Yeah, so the chairs give a lot of extra space, which helps out a ton. And since I'm short, you know, I don't need that much. So what we did was we dropped this down. Anyone that has a Sprinter knows that these are like tiny little shelves that are shit, and they don't really hold much. So what we did was took some plywood and some extra foam we had and tafted it back to look like a headboard, and then it's really soft and cushiony so you can hit your head without any issue. And then that's dropped down to fit all my bedding, a drop down blackout cloth, speaker, all the dogs
Pretty
stuff.
decent amount of storage
There's
space
a ton
up there.
of storage here. All my bedding, so everything fits in here. I put proper bedding, comforter and sheeting and whatnot, and that just all stores up top.
Awesome.
And then the cab's pretty standard. I kept it, I painted a lot of pieces black, you know, just to give it a little more color, because anyone that knows these Sprinters, they're like a bunch of gray.
Right,
it's kinda
right.
boring. So I did a little bit of black. The garden up front is nice. It's the only garden I can do here in the van, but
There we go.
yeah.
Still something. And you got a hanging plant right here too.
This is my new pothos that I've almost killed because I left outside one night when it was freezing, below freezing temperatures. But we're bringing her back, and I'm excited to get a nice pot my friend's making for me to hold it in.
Awesome.
Yeah. Look.
So what have you got here for a bed? How does this work?
All right. So this is a queen size, or excuse me, full size. So 6 inches shorter than a queen, foam mattress, 6 inches. I cut it down the middle and then cut it again, and this piece is, see that there?
Yep, bifolds.
So that opens up and fits down in what this becomes a full-size area. So these two drawers are quite large, and so they come completely out, hold all my equipment, but they also support a lattice system.
Okay, okay.
That goes on top of here, and that will take the bed all the way out to there, which I like it. I don't ever really use it unless I need extra space, because when you take this, put it on the ground, take all my bedding, put it on here, for me and Stella, it's plenty.
Right, right. So when you do convert it, how long does it take you to pull it out and then remake the bed?
When I do the whole thing,
Yes.
it'd probably take me 6-7 minutes.
Not long, not
I'd
long.
say, around there.
All right, so what have you got
With
here?
2 people, it's a lot easier, and I normally only make it when I have 2 people. So
Right, right.
You can make it probably about 3 minutes with 2 people.
What do you have here for a kitchen? I see an oven, which I'm
Yes.
jealous of.
So the whole side of the van, I kind of just decided I wanted to do galley style. So hallway down the middle, and then split it. So we got bed on this side, storage and clothes, power system on this side, and then on the other side is all kitchen. So this table is called the transformer table, which flips up this way to give me my pots and pans. Slide this over, it accordions up, And then you've got this, which comes out. A good friend of mine's actually sourcing a nice piece of live edge for me. When I built this fan, I didn't know what live edge was. So I was like, oh, what is live edge? And I see it and I'm like, oh shit, I gotta have live edge. So
right.
I'm trying to afford a piece, and so a small piece is how you can do it. So a good friend of mine in Denver is gonna source me something for there.
So
then check this
out. If you don't know what live edge is, a lot of people don't know what it is.
True.
What that means is whenever they are slabbing the tree to make this plank, instead of cutting it 4 times, what they usually do is they will take and cut a tree into a square shape or a rectangle shape, and then they start slabbing it off of there. Well, whenever they do a live edge, whenever they slab it, they only slab and cut this way. The edges on this side and this side are usually left just raw bark. Well, then you take wire wheel, so on, something like that, and you just kind of lightly sand that edge, and it gives it that nice contour look of actually looking like a tree. So
it's legit, and any build that you see it in, it's gorgeous. It takes it to the next level, so I'm excited to do that. But to finish up this transformer table, I gotta bring you a little bit outside here.
Okay.
But I like this. I think this is unique. So you got this here, and then out here is my garage with fluids. So this holds all of my fluids and oils and whatnot, filters, you know, stuff you got to have on the road. But then when I want to have outdoor table, I drop that down, and that sits on the top of this door.
This truly is a transformer table.
And then this little sign set that I got from an old gathering, it's there, and then you drop that down. It's an old van life gathering sign that we had from 2019, but this is like a little table, right? I mean,
yeah, that's great.
Nice little, and we just finagled it from all this extra wood. That's the transformer table.
That's interesting. That's the first time I've seen something that extensive and
it's all made out of recycled wood. So everything you see in this entire van right now was recycled except for the molding. I did buy the molding, but the ceiling is probably my favorite. This is old longleaf Florida pine, which
how tall are you in here? 6 foot?
So I'm 5'9".
I'm right at 6 foot. I measured because some days my back is longer than other days. Some days I'm stretched out, some days I'm not. Some days I have to bend my head a little bit to touch my roof. Some days I'm flat-footed, and whenever I'm flat-footed, I pull the tape on it just to see. So if I'm flat-footed, it's 6 foot. Whenever I have to bend, I'm kind of maybe reaching closer to 6'1", but
that's one of the benefits of being short. See, I've got all this room for activities. I can wear the big hat, and I don't gotta worry. I got all the space.
It's not bad. I mean, I'm not hunched in here.
Yeah. And how tall? 6?
I think I'm 6 foot.
I think 6 is about the limit I've heard from people. That's what they told me. But so this was recycled from old Florida bookshelves. They were like 30-foot long bookshelves in this warehouse, and they bought the warehouse, and they said, we don't want any of this wood, take it. And so we went there thinking there was gonna be cedar and pine. We found this pine and just packed up as much as we could in the truck and the bed, and bought a planer and planed all the wood down, and either stained it, whitewashed it, or oiled it. And it's all the same wood, which cut a ton of cost, and pine is pretty light in comparison. So it wasn't too much weight. I love the knots that you'll see up here, all the character in the wood. This is old Florida longleaf pine, which is really a nice touch that I got lucky on.
Lots of space for knickknacks, which we just learned was maybe not the best word for knickknacks.
Oh, really?
Did you not? You missed that conversation this morning.
Yeah, I missed it.
So evidently, knickknacks are, by definition, cheap, flimsy goods, not actual like cool stuff.
So like
for some reason we always called it knickknacks. Yeah.
Keepsakes.
Keepsakes. There we go. There we go.
Keepsakes.
There we go. Keepsakes.
And that's what this is.
Mark and Miranda, if you're watching this one, there you go. There's your word. Keepsakes.
Keepsakes. And I think that's what my van kind of embodies. It's not the new fancy Sprinter. It's not the newest technology. It's going to be all the lived experiences and the memories that I've collected from amazing people along my travels. And that is really something that makes me feel like I'm truly at home. You know, when I say I'm home, I mean it. This is my home. I doesn't need to be in one spot. I love to be able to travel, and so
it's a cool patches.
Yeah, some of the places. Here's some gatherings we did with Van Life Diaries in 2019. We did 8 gatherings in 1 year.
I see stickers all over the back door.
Yeah, dude.
Too.
So there's the back door. It's kind of hidden up by the screen, but you can see all the here. I'll let you get
Speaking of screen, tell us about the screen real fast. Because I'm jealous of this. I get bugs in my van all the time.
So I'll send this to you. It's on Amazon, but that's the company, and it's $30. And the key is they make this material out of multiple fabrics, and I've had like a cotton one, I think, and this is a nylon. And the nylon is just stiffer. It doesn't get caught in the door as much and create holes. And so for me, I've gone through a bunch of these, and I'm definitely not paying the ridiculous prices some of these really nice ones are, but this is actually like a pretty middle ground for 30 bucks. You gotta cut the bottom to fit your size, and then I did the 64 inch, which was only 2 inches off of what I needed for the Sprinter. So, you know, you try to find what works for you, but I like that. For 30 bucks, you know, you break it, you get a new one, whatever.
Right, right. Max Air fan?
Max Air fan that needs to be cleaned, but that's the reality.
They always need to be cleaned. That's
I know.
Max Air fans.
It's always on, that's why. And then this is the back kitchen area. So I didn't mention this, but all the cabinets are Napa Valley wine boxes.
Oh, cool.
So everything,
cool.
all of this here and all of the cabinets down here were all sourced from a fine dining restaurant that my girlfriend at the time worked at. And so you go to these restaurants and they've got these boxes in the back where all their nice wine comes from, and they end up throwing them in the trash. So we took them and repurposed them and made them into cabinets. And so they are all of the cabinets, added a little bit of trim, but if you look underneath, you'll see nickel and nickel, Cabernet Sauvignon, Rutherford from the Napa Valley, 2009. And a bunch of different ones, yeah.
Very
which is a
cool.
great reuse of the wood.
Oven. I keep seeing everybody has an oven but me.
There it is, the Camp Chef. I will say the Camp Chef is more of a camping oven. I've had 2 Camp Chefs now for 4 years that I've been on the road, and the first one lasted for about 3.5 years, and they're good, but they're not great. I wouldn't say it's the best thing on the market. I think there's probably other options if you can be deeper. My thing was, I've got such a thin van that I wanted thin everything. So thin cabinets, thin countertops, everything you'll notice is much smaller in proportion, but that makes it feel comfortable. That makes it livable, and you can move around. There's 32 inches of flex space in the hallways, which makes it really comfortable to walk by, and allows you to host people without feeling too crammed.
Yeah, I'm actually very shocked. So I have the same van, but a longer version, and due to the way that my layout is, we can't comfortably put 2 people in there hanging out. It is more so just somewhere for me to sleep and store my gear. So this actually does feel more like a home that you want to invite your friends into.
Well, and that's
really
the cool thing about everyone's rigs, is that they all have our own priorities, our own perspective, and you get to see that, you know, because we all have different initiatives, and seeing everyone's rigs, you get to see all the different ways of doing it. And I love that. I think it's cool. For me, I love to host. I did not want to lose that, and so this design with the bed being up front, so that I knew I could use the chairs to incorporate the living space and have the view from the slider.
Here, hold this.
Yes.
There's tons of space. So see, I can comfortably sit here. You can put someone else there. You could comfortably sit 4 people.
4 people. Yep. And I can stand.
Even touching.
Yep. And then I can stand.
You could probably serve 5 if you had people.
If you had smaller, or you like to snuggle, then yes, you could.
Yeah.
And I think that's the big thing that I wanted to have, was that ability. And then I've got this big fridge, which was a blessing of a gift from a friend, but it's gonna get moved out because it's just in the way of my design and flow. The fridge is meant to go in this back corner. Everything here is all kitchen. Propane for heating and cooking. So the heating is here, the Wave 3 catalytic heater. I'm sure people in the nomadic world know this.
How much do you have on the roof for solar?
So there's 4 100-watt panels on the roof. They're Renogy panels, and they're run in parallel because I have a Renogy 50 amp MPPT charge controller combo, so it'll take the alternator's power and the solar and combine them together, but it maxes out your voltage, and so we had to bring our voltage down, so I ran them in parallel in order to do that. But it ended up being a great system. I do 200 amp hours of lithium underneath, so I went straight to Shenzhen instead of paying American prices. I went to China, where they're all coming from anyway, and I got 200 amp hours for about 850 bucks about a year ago, and it's been a great system. I think 400 watts on the roof with the 200 amp hours. It's definitely sufficient for someone that uses their computer and TV a lot, but I wouldn't say it's like, boom, you know, you can do whatever you want. If you wanted to do that, I think you need to be in the 400 amp hour and up range. That's just my kind of take on it.
I would totally agree, especially from everything that I've seen. Now, I wish that I had filmed this box. I did not film it, but we met a guy on the coast who had, I think it was 800 amp hours inside his box. It was ridiculous. He could run anything he wanted to.
Well, I've filmed like 2,500 amp hour systems.
Wow.
At 24 volts, which is double that.
Right,
it's ridiculous. Like some people,
that's got to be in a bus.
It's in a huge bus.
Okay.
Family of 5 with 4 dogs.
Man.
It's an old rock and roll tour bus. You know, the ones with the silver bottoms?
For a living, Matt films, and Matt has filmed many nomadic rigs over the years. You've probably seen his work.
Yeah, I'm sure you've seen my work. I filmed a ton of amazing nomads that I love having friendships with. That's the big thing, is it's not just a job. It's actually a part of my lifestyle, and getting to share the amazing stories of all the people that are out in our community doing things differently and creating these amazing rigs. It's a blessing, and I get to do it as a living. Shit, that's amazing. So
speaking of, you want to tell us about Enjoy the Journey Today?
Yeah, so Enjoy the journey.today is my personal brand, which is my story. I think the best way to positively influence the world is to just share your story and continue to live the way you believe that you want to live and you want to immortalize within people. And if you go to my website, you can check out my story. You can see all the back end of things. But the thing that I'm passionate about now is telling people stories, and that's on a channel called Tiny House Giant Journey, which is an awesome channel that highlights people that live alternatively on the road.
Cool.
Yeah,
cool.
It's fun.
All right, so we've seen most of this. Let's see what do you got here, storage?
So we're in the back storage area, which I think I'm due for a new shift out. What I like to do with these was move the spare tire to the back, and they're kind of like a new paint job. You just buy a new box, switch them out, and they look nicer. And these, you can tell, they're getting kind of dilapidated. They're pushed out a little bit, but they do a great job of holding. This one's like my shit drawer, so like all the little tools and you know, incense and ratchets and rat traps and, you know, all the stuff you need. But the clothes, all my clothes is in these little storage bins here. Recycling and trash is at this level, and then the power is at the bottom level, which is hard to see here, but basically it's built around the wheel well. And there's some pictures of it on my website. So if you go to the van build portion of enjoythejourney.today, you can see all the photos of the setup. But it was nice because it basically 2 pieces of wood around the wheel well to flatten it out, and then you got some great surface area to mount your inverter and all of your equipment, and it kind of tucks it under, kept it out of the space. And then I dropped the main power line right through the wheel well down to where the spare tire was. Because frankly, I think it looks cooler, and it makes a ton of space underneath where I could put my batteries. So I used to have AGM batteries. I used to have 400 amp hours of AGM, lead acid, and they were twice the size of my system now because they're much larger. So I put them underneath because I didn't want to fucking take the space up, right? There's a lot of space here.
That's brilliant. What kind of box did you put up under there to do that?
It's basically a framing. We can go check it out. It's a metal framing that I had a buddy weld together, and basically it just has a frame bottom with 2 metal sides that come up with some butterfly nuts on them, and you just basically slide them over and you bring down like a metal bar on top. I've got 2 of those, and it holds it in place. It makes for a good center of gravity because you're putting all your weight right over your back pumpkin, which on these Sprinters, rear wheel drive, so all the weight's right there. It's centered. I think that's a good way to manage your space, you know, because I needed all this to just fit my living.
Right.
Much less my power.
I see a WeBoost antenna here. Yep. How do you like it? I just got mine, so I do not have a valid opinion yet. What do you think?
I actually have a decent viewpoint on this. I think the issue with the WeBoost is that it runs off 5 bands. So the towers that you're connecting to are sending out more than 5 bands. They're sending out a multitude of bands. And if your booster has that band, then it's going to hone in on that signal, and it's going to increase your speeds, especially your upload speeds. I've noticed that upload speeds are much more improved off the booster than download. Sometimes the download can even come down and the upload can come up. I've seen that in testing. But the big thing I think is when you're just at the edge of something, I've been able to pull signal in and actually get enough signal to play video or to send something out or upload something. And so I think It does work, but not always. So there'll be times when you'll be like, boom, it's awesome. It's definitely making a difference. I notice you have to put it literally right on your phone to get the signal. I'm looking into a bigger repeater on the inside. I'm a little worried with how many frequencies I'm pushing around in my brain in this metal box, but if it's worth it, I might do a little bigger piece that's just like sits on the wall there. I might mount it right here, I'm thinking, and that would give me a larger area. But with the smaller ones and even the medium-sized ones, I've noticed you got to put them right up on there to get the signal. Also, another thing to check out is MIMO devices, multiple in, multiple out. That's basically a antenna for your hotspot. So if someone is using a hotspot that has external inputs on the bottom for an antenna, it'll have two small little holes. They're very tiny, and they are two of them for an external antenna. If you can do that for 30 bucks, you can buy a Netgear MIMO antenna, and I've actually found that that can work better than these 500 plus boosters if you have a hotspot. So that's just something to think about. We did a little series on that.
This right here is the info that I am trying to dig out of all of my walkthroughs. The stuff that, like this right here, that's a $500 device that you buy it because you see it on everybody's rig, but you don't really know, does it really work? Is it really worth it? There you go. Here's some real world experiences. And he said for 30 bucks, you can actually get a better signal out of a Wi-Fi or a hotspot.
Hotspot, yeah. If you've got the hotspot, I think it's worth it. We did a whole segment on Good Vibe Live, which is the talk show that I host, and it's just nomad stuff. So brought on Technomania. It's like this old couple that, I shouldn't say old couple, beautifully young in age couple, but they've been around the block. They've been doing this forever. They test all the data speeds, all the different plans, and so they came on because they were the ones I found when I was doing my searching. They knew all the shit, and so I said, hey, come on my show, do a little thing, and they're the ones that told me about the MIMO device. So I give them the credit. Cool. Technomania and what they're doing. But yeah, check it out. You know, talk to other people. I'm one person, but I've definitely someone who overanalyzes the shit out of stuff like this. So take it from my agony that I've been 4 years of figuring things out. I think the boosters do work, but they're expensive. So if you don't necessarily have to have it, I don't think it's really necessary. I think find a good carrier. You know, it's better to have a Verizon and an AT&T over a Sprint and T-Mobile with a booster. It's still not going to help you. So those are just some things to think about.
So I myself went almost 2.5 years with no WeBoost. The only reason that I finally broke down and bought it was because we were trapped on the coast, or not trapped, we parked on the coast for 14 days and my phone would not work at all. But Dave and Nikki in Thelma pulled up behind us. They had a WeBoost and it worked. I put my phone on it and it worked there too. So I was like, all right, just in case I get stuck in one of those areas where you're right on the threshold, you can get out.
Well, and if you live this lifestyle in the national forest, you're doing that. You're going to that threshold. You're at the edge a lot of times. I realize that I use it more often than I think, because as soon as I walk away, I don't have anything. I have no service even. Some are like, oh, you got to have a little bit of signal and it'll boost. I've actually experienced no service and then come in and go to LTE enough to film or to stream a video. So cool. That's a big deal. Now, price is a big. I waited like 2.5 years.
So yeah, about the same amount of time that I did then. Yep. So if you're first getting into this, now I will say, the hard part about waiting is if you're OCD about wiring like I am, it's a lot harder to run the wire on the flip side than it is on the front side. But I did it in mine. Assuming you did it in yours just fine.
Yeah, luckily I had this back alley, so I was able to run a lot of stuff from there where the power and the main 12-volt fuse box is right there. So I just installed it the next level up on this wall and then ran it back right out, and it sits on the flagpole. So I've got the telescoping flagpole. And
I saw that. I filmed it. We got a shot of it right here. So that's a telescoping flagpole. I was going to ask what this is.
Yeah, it's cool. A 35-foot telescoping flagpole that I got when we got the Good Vibe Collective flag, because I wanted to have a cool community flag to put up when we have events and gatherings as a way to kind of
awesome.
A totem almost to bring everyone together, say nomads unite, come party, let's go. And so yeah, it's fun. I like having the flagpole. It definitely sets the mood.
Very cool, very cool. So back to the WeBoost. If you have the $500 to spend on it on your build on the front side. Do it so that you can snake your wiring in behind your walls without having to frustrate later. But if 500 is going to break your build, skip it. You hear from 2 people who have had 2+ years on the road without it before we bought it. We were fine. Granted, I appreciate having it now. I'm assuming you do too.
Oh yeah. And one other thing, I'm totally not sponsored by them at all, but I think it's legit and I want to tell people, Visible is a Verizon company that prepays. So it's a prepaid version of Verizon. So you get Verizon Network, unthrottled, unlimited. I will say you're lower on the priority list. So if you have to have the fastest speeds in the area, maybe this isn't for you. But if you're excited about paying $25 a month for that service,
okay.
I went from AT&T for my tablet and my phone. It was $108 a month. It dropped down to $25 a month with just the tablet on unlimited. And AT&T doesn't charge you for not having multiple devices on their bill. So I kept the tablet on there. So unlimited AT&T for $25 on a tablet, and then unlimited Verizon on the phone for $25. So you can have 2 carriers for $50 all in. And I think that's a really good van life hack.
Yeah, that's not bad at all, because then you have service on whichever
both the
ones.
best network. I mean, those are the
and that's going to give you a lot more hotspot before it's throttled too, also, right?
Yeah, you actually get hotspot, and I haven't been throttled on my hotspot, honestly. Cool. The AT&T tends to be a little faster than the Verizon, I've noticed, but Verizon is more often available.
Okay, cool.
Coverage wise. And that all depends on where you are, West Coast, East Coast.
I see your map here. Is that?
Yeah, that's the journey. The last 4 years, 110,000 miles. It's kind of getting rubbed off a little bit, but if you get close enough, you can tell. A lot on the West, heavy on the West. I like the West a lot. I just dig the climate and the people and the topography a lot out West. So
same here, same here.
West.
All right, is there anything else in particular you want to show us before we get
go
out
on
here?
the roof deck, bro. That's the patio.
He's got a
party
roof
patio.
deck? Let's go look at a roof deck.
Let's go.
This is cool.
So this is the AstroTurf that when I'm staying for more than a couple days, I'll actually put out if I'm in an area that's dirt for the front, and it gives you 7 feet by 15 feet of front yard. It's a really nice soft grass. I actually love it. It was $100.
Those are some small panels.
Yeah, 100 watts.
Cool.
It's with the 100 watts, and they fit nice, and you can kind of walk through to the other side, and I can put a chair here, put a couple chairs there when I take the grass off.
How'd you get up there?
The tire. And then the max there in the middle.
Not bad.
You know, when you got the grass down, you can fit a couple people, lay out some blankets, and as you can see, the view is always nicer from up high.
Oh yes, always.
What a view.
Here, catch this.
I can't stand up and not be. I like the roof deck.
Dang, I'm surprised that Chris got up there.
I built it with $50 worth of fence posts.
Not bad.
Yeah, we just cut them up with my buddy's CNC machine.
And
Chris,
you just
jump.
laid them in the channels.
And did like train tracks. And then these 2 in the middle we added after the fact, slid them in. And I stayed it after the fact, which you can tell.
Chris, jump from the tire.
Yeah, dude, I love it.
I'm not jumping from the tire now.
Oh, buzzkill.
Yeah, most people miss the bumper, so once you go from the step you're at now, yeah, there you go.
Bam. Well, awesome, Matt.
Yes, sir.
Thanks for the tour.
Appreciate it.
We'll see you somewhere further down the road.
I'll see you down the road.